Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
It is a beautiful Friday, too. It's been actually cooler in temperature around here.
No,
I like it.
it's been cold.
Yeah. Oh, you guys want to hear something funny, by the way, about being cold? So we were standing out on the back. We were standing out on the back deck and talking about the weather was going to change because it was going to go from the 70s every day or the early 80s every day. And the weather was supposed to get cold. And so B had made the comment to one of her friends that, well, since it's going to be cold tomorrow, we'll be trapped in the house. And so they go on this conversation about things to do in the house because it's going to be so cold. And so I just like to ask my beautiful bride, what temperature was it going to be that day that was so cold?
68. I was getting the sweater out. Thought I was going to light a fire.
It blows me away. The 68 is perfect working weather.
I'm from Phoenix.
Right?
Cold.
60 is good working weather.
Cold. Bird.
Man.
You've got a hoodie on, buddy. Are you chilly?
No, I'm not moving. I'm not working. I'm not carrying anything. I'm not, there is a difference, Anyway, let's get some hellos in, huh? Because you're being silly. Carrie Davis was the first one in, says happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Yep. I wish everybody, remembrance. You put it up there. Everybody some remembrance on this day. And, it's with all the craziness going on in our world, things like, reparations and, all this stuff and people owed and all of that. And I would argue these debts have been paid in blood, and they were paid by a lot of great people who were really trying to do the right thing and, believed in, freedom and believed in these kind of things, who didn't get to come home. And I have friends who fit that bill. And so I wish everybody just to take a little bit of time to remember that these debts have been paid, and they've been paid in blood. And it's our duty to stand up. It's our duty to keep what we have. And it's our duty to keep what they fought for. I won't rant anymore, but it's our duty. Terminator, welcome in. Good to see you. Tamara Smith, hello. The king himself, Jeff, Gypsy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dogger, Slick is in the house. Did I get them all?
Close.
Something like that. Hippocrates Garden Instigator says, once upon a midnight dreary, while I ponder weak and weary, there came a tapping at my door. A rap tapping at my chamber door.
Yep.
Avon. Skades Girl, welcome in. Hey, Nitos, how are you? Good to see you. The Life with Mike and Jen. What's up, Jen? How are you? Good to see you. Dana, welcome in. Jane, good evening. Let's see here. RN, how are you? Hope life's good. Famous sharpshooter himself's in the house. If you ever run into him, you got to ask him how he got his name. Lisa, good to see you. Hey, my buddy Mo's in the house. How you doing, Mo? I was thinking about you today. I was working in my shop, cleaning stuff up, and I was repacking all my solar stuff and all this
About time.
stuff. And anyway, all that, tech stuff made me think of you today. Let's see here. Oh, American Roots Farms in the house. How are you? I'm assuming it's Jess, but it might be Joe. It could also be both of them, but either way, welcome in. Ricky Dicky Doo Grimes. Welcome. How are you? Let's see here. Free War. That's a great name. Welcome in. Let's see here. Oh, the greatest name on the internet.
Half Bubble Off Thumb.
Yep, is in the house. Can't forget that. Stan Guthrie. Good to see you. Yeah, Jen says Gypsy's ornery as ever. Boy, ain't that true. Tina Conkle, welcome in. We'll be cool. Good to see you. Betsy De La Rosa. Hola. Welcome in. Jim Botho. Hello. Let's see. Helen, good to see you. Beth Emily, hello. My buddy Indiana Mike's in the house. How you doing, Indiana? You guys got your hands full right now, but that's good. Yep, super proud of you guys. You guys have accomplished a lot. No Zoom is complete without a
Pack rat.
Or in this case, a live, because I guess it's not Zoom. See, Pack Rat tricked me. It said Zoom, and I just repeated it. We're not on Zoom. Hey, the Banquet of Consequences is in the house. Good to see you. I hope all is well. I hope you made it through all the storms good. RN says, Tag, I agree with you about 60 degrees being ideal weather. Once it hits 85 in central Alabama, it's miserable with the humidity. Couldn't agree more. It's perfect weather. I just thought it was interesting that, chickies over here were contemplating trapping themselves in the house because it was going to be 68 degrees.
Well, we had been in the yard and we were a little overly sunned. And so the chill of the night already was like, oh, I'm cold. And so thinking about tomorrow or the next day being no sun, so cloudy and cooler than it was that day, it just seemed like it was a good day to do laundry or bake a cake or...
You guys like how she backpedals. Anyway, the beautiful Wes Wesley's in the house. Good to see you. Barbara and Aljo are here. It says, remember the true freedom fighters. Yeah, hey, Big B. Good to see you. What's going on? Hey, my buddy Mario's in the house, and I'm going to say something about Mario real quick. Uh-oh, I know he's probably cringing right here going, oh, shit. No, we often talk about, people come on and they talk about things that are going on in their lives and somebody's, mom died or something happened or, an animal, whatever it was. And so we often ask for prayer warriors, to make their life, a little bit easier. But I think there should be a special place in our hearts for, the few, those few people when there's a fire that run to it and don't run away from it. And my buddy Mario is one of those guys who runs to the fire. And so I would welcome all of you guys to send a great prayer to Mario tonight, congratulating him on running to the fire. I totally lost where I am. ACM Homestead, welcome in. How are you? Either Adam or Cindy, don't know which one, or maybe both, but good to see you. Pockery says, I've gone down to the 40s, good when playing the pipes outside for extended times, as long as the kilt was the heavy wool one. Yeah. Let's see here. Packrat says, our Zooms are on Wednesdays right now, all across the continent. Yeah, the problem is with that Zoom is it conflicts with another Zoom that I have on Wednesdays. So that's why I have a hard time making it. Let's see here. Time. Yeah, will be cool. Says it was 102 index. No, thank you. Yeah, Jen says, thank you. That means a whole lot to us. Well, it is super, super, super easy to run away from the fire. It's a whole nother thing that when you see it, to buckle down and run to it. That's why I always say, the few, because it's few, absolute few who will do that.
Yeah, and it shows.
Yeah, Jane thinks, Mario, you're awesome. He absolutely is awesome. And again, guys, I would welcome you guys to send your prayers out to him. Again, congratulating him to run to it. Because again, it's hard, It's not supposed to be easy though, right? That's why it's all the few.
No.
Right?
And it's so easy to be the negative Nelly and the one that sits back and criticizes and the one to...
Yeah, it's pretty cool gig. Mario says, I feel all your love. Don't make me cry, tag. Thanks for always depositing. Man, isn't that kind of what it's supposed to be though, bud? I mean, isn't kind of the role for us is to make our people around us better and to push them out of their own comfort zones? I get into this conversation about the word manipulation all the time. And I get... Don't
manipulate me.
Yeah, I get so many people give me heat about it. Say, man, I hate when you say that and blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, if you manipulate others to bring out the best in them, if you manipulate them, we get caught up in the word manipulate. Look it up in the dictionary. Just read the definition. It's not a negative statement. If we do those things, I think we're giving the absolute greatest gift in the world. I can't think of a better gift to give than to do my best to manipulate my wife to be the very best version of her that she can be, and her to me too.
And I hate it when I know that I'm doing like something that I could do better at, and he points it out, and then I'm like, ugh. And then I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm a whatever. I need to do better.
Mm-hmm.
So
and vice versa. It's one of my favorite things about my wife is she was the first one to call me out if I'm being, selfish, or I'm being whatever it is, whatever happens to be going on that day. I'm being grumpy, right? She's the first one. I think that's what makes a great relationship is, just that being able to be completely naked in front of somebody. be vulnerable, and then it be okay. And, that you're not going to get preyed upon. This is why you surround yourself with great people.
Right.
It doesn't mean you all got to be best friends.
Right.
But when the phone rings, do you go? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really, to me, what it's all about. Luis says, Mario and Jen are the real thing. They walk the example of Christ, not just talk it, but live it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so wonderful. I love looking at all those prayers. Pretty cool. Thoughts and prayers. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. Let me see here. Half Bubble Off Plum says, definitely another hot day trying to get things started at first light, more and more due to the heat. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to this cooler weather, Thank you, Miss Lil. We're so blessed to have such an amazing team. Amen. Let's see here. And Mario says it's so important to build each other up, to believe we can overcome our circumstances and come out more equipped to handle the next challenge. Level up. 100%. And Mario's done this to me, like if I have a certain opinion on something and we're sitting in my living room, he'll challenge me on it and push me a little bit. And I like it. It doesn't mean that I agree. And we may get to a point where we just, flip each other off across the room or whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, that's how guys are, but at the end of the day, I appreciate it, being pushed like that. Banquet of Consequence says, laugh out loud. Yeah, sometimes I feel like a baby with a wet diaper. Do you ever feel like a baby with a wet diaper?
I've not ever put that to my thoughts, so I'll think about that.
Hey, Leela, welcome in. Jules, welcome in. Mario says, but that I'm right. Mm-hmm. Isn't right such an interesting word? Is there such a thing? That'd be the question that I would ask you, Mario. Is there even such a thing? Right. Anyway. Well, babe, what would you like to talk about today?
Looking at I was taking notes while Mario was talking.
That's good.
He touched me in a way. So I got a lot planted, got a lot taken out of the greenhouse. Some of the things that we were blessed with from the 5 loads of vegetables that we brought home, I was able to use some of those as well. So we, Jess came over from American Roots. Thank you, by the way. We got the sweet potato slips planted. We got the cucumbers planted, the gourds, the loofahs, the beans, the zinnias, the pumpkins, the peppers, the zucchinis, the squash. Oh, see, I didn't start any butternut squash seeds because my husband does not like butternut squash, but God said, Bethany, you need butternut squash in your life, because he gifted not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 plants, but he gifted like hundreds of butternut squash plants, and everybody that we knew took what they wanted of the butternut squash, and there were still some left over, which to me, that was God saying, Bethany, plant one. Not 1, not 2, but at least 3. So I did butternut squash, spaghetti squash. We planted some blueberries together. Rowdy, actually, he got his hands dirty, guys. He got in the dirt. I'm so proud of him.
I actually didn't do any of the planting. I dug the holes, though.
Well, you did some weeding, so you did get a little dirt on your hands. So he pulled some, that little dirty. So we threw hay, lots of hay, pulled weeds. Oh, got potato bugs on the potatoes. And I told Jess that I was just going to spray them. And I lied to her because instead I've just been picking them off.
You were going to spray them with what?
I was going to spray them with neem oil. Mm-hmm. And she said, I don't like that, but I would approve. And so when she turned to leave, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that quite yet. I'm going to see if I can pick them off and see if that helps. And I did. I picked a bunch off. And then when she came back the next time, she looked at them and said, they do look better, but I thought you were going to spray them. And I said, so here's my thought. If I pick them off a couple of days in a row, like let's hand pick this and plant some other things. That
marigold.
Yeah, something that'll stop them, something that they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to stop it before I have to spray it, but it is not looking good.
Juby Joe said, I called you a pile driver in the comments and you responded with a thumbs up. You said that you've been called that before. Would you consider me a pile driver?
A pile driver?
Yeah.
You do drive piles.
Nito says, more and more I have taken over the role of doing the heavy lifting as hubby is 7 years older and than I, and it is difficult for him to lift anything really heavy.
Yeah.
My dad always told me that getting old was a bitch. Yeah, Jen says that butternut squash are horrible for your health and you should not be growing them.
What did she say?
Hey, Scott, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Because she told
Good
me
to see
they
you.
store well.
Yeah, well, no, she is giving you a different direction now.
She probably said that. They store well.
Yeah, okay. Tina, oh, by the way, Tina says congratulations on the baby calf.
Oh, I know. Look at my new shirt.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Gotta show them. Dexter Mom.
Isn't that adorable? Dexter Mom.
Sharpshooter says, who are we to question divine providence? What? Mario worked in the garden too, spread lots of old hay today. You guys.
See, it was God
just
saying,
twins.
get your hands dirty, gentlemen.
Oh, my goodness.
Get in there and get some life in you.
Well, we just had 2 baby calves and both are male. And we had this conversation about that too, about maybe just the system, the world, God, whatever, wants us to have more food. Right. Because had it been a female, we would have, kept it and not eaten it. But, right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What else you got?
Yeah. So we also planted 4 cherry trees because you had ordered some cherry trees from Stark Brothers and they had just never came. And so finally he got an email and said, hey, good news. They are coming and they're coming now. And so he's like, oh, good news. You got to get out there and plant some trees. I'm like, oh, I love you.
But we did put 4 new cherry trees in the food forest, which is really cool.
Yes.
We've probably, how many trees we put in this year, you think?
I don't know.
15 maybe?
I can't remember where you get your shampoo from. So how am I supposed to know?
It's funny because you're the one that gets it.
I don't know. Thank God somebody's doing it. We also planted sage, onions, and strawberries. So, and that was all here. And then we turned around and took plants over to American Roots and we planted things over there too. So we have been in the garden. We have been outside working the land for a lot this week. And you have too.
Yep, I have. Dana says, pumpkins I've heard will deworm a chicken. Anyone else hear that? I have not heard that, but we do take our pumpkins and I wrap a chain around the top of it so it'll swing, and I swing it up about an inch or 2 off the ground and let the chickens peck at it. And once they get a hold on it, man, they demolish it. They love pumpkins.
They just sit there and
it gives them something to do.
Around.
So it's actually pretty easy. Just take a chain and put a screw right through the head of it or whatever, and just let them, eat on it till
it's like a toy.
It's kind of like a toy. Hey, Gregory, welcome in.
Thank you for providing entertainment.
Hey, Jane, welcome in as well. Yeah, Tamara says yes, pumpkin seeds. True, and cows too. Oh, for pumpkins. So you got to be growing lots of pumpkins. Give them a good dewormer every year, huh?
That would be helpful.
Yep. All right. Hey, Dwight, how are you? Dwight says, I really love those videos of Joe Salatin. It must have been fun to have him with you. It was. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I talk to him all the time because I sit on a board with him. And so, I get a lot of one-on-one time with him. Actually, the next video I put out is we filmed him and I going down the road, just having a just a one-on-one conversation for about 20 minutes. And we recorded that conversation. And so I'm going to put it out next. But it was cool. It was cool to have him here. It was cool to see him with the community. It was cool to see him interact with the community because, him and I have had a lot of conversations. What they do really, really well, we don't. And what we do really, really well, they don't. And, part of that's community. And so it was cool to have him down for that. And I'm really excited to see what comes next. We've got Jim Gale coming down. I'll talk about that a little bit more tonight.
I'm a little nervous.
From Food Forest Abundance. And, again, just to add another layer of our sustainability, we get to keep building on it. And so I'm going to keep bringing people in to hopefully help all of us just get a little bit smarter,
Yeah.
and then also benefit them and deposit, as Mario talks about, I'm going to deposit into their bank account too, by showing them community and showing them some of the things that we do here that are smart and efficient and, those kind of things. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. Let's see here. Where are we at here? Camber says, oregano, essential oil, and water will warm them too. And Dana says, I was doing it for food before I knew that. Yeah, I'm sure I will enjoy it, says Dwight. Oh, you will. And I still have, after that, I have Joel's time at the community building. I already put out him speaking to the community, the little talk that he gave, but I have all of the footage of us just eating and hanging out and, more of the, relaxed time, I guess, kind of. Not really relaxed, huh?
And somebody walked around and recorded all that. Is there conversations going on?
I haven't even begun to edit the video. I don't have any idea what's in it.
I thought maybe you had the video already ready.
Yeah. Pockery says, if it would be possible sometime, one of those meetings, open it via Zoom for those who can't travel. Just a thought. Pockery, we've talked about this a lot because we have a lot of those types of things that go on. And, you just always have that worry about, who you're letting in, because once you put it on the internet, who are you letting into that world?
Yeah. People don't like it.
Yeah. So
we've gotten pushback.
Yeah. So it's something we gotta continue to work on. But not everybody's giving pushback.
I just said we've gotten pushback.
Yeah. So some people are super for it, but yeah. Hey, Bonnie, welcome in. Yeah. It looks like you've got some votes on your side, Instigator. Go ahead. What you got next?
Greetings.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hatching birds. I mean, not for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping. But I'm picky. So I hatched so far yesterday and today 9 guineas and 6 turkeys, and then 2 turkeys are like hatching, and then there's 2 that have like no pips. So tomorrow is like last day of lockdown, so there's still time for that. But the majority of them hatched like pretty fast. So those guineas, man, those things they're fast. They get up and they walk faster than the turkeys. They move faster. They make these like, I don't know, like loud breathing noises.
What's it sound like?
I can't do
Come
it.
on.
No. Because I was just noticing it, like, what is going on? Is it like hyperventilating?
What's it sound like?
Nah, come on now.
Come on, what's it sound
Maybe
like?
next time. Anyway, it sounded like it was like hyperventilating.
Now you guys want to hear beer. You guys want to hear beer B, right? Do a guinea impersonation, right? I mean, I think everyone wants to hear you.
So, there are 9 of them, 9 guineas. 8 look alike, and then 1 is like an oddball. It's white. It has white wings.
Hey, Bonnie, how are you? Good to see you, friend. Says my mom says cayenne pepper is always good for egg production.
Huh.
Have you heard that?
I did not.
Pretty cool. You have to try it.
So I've got 9 guineas, then I've got 6 turkeys. All of them, none of them look Narragansett, so I will be gifting them all away. And then the 2 turkeys that are hatching, I'm not sure about those yet. So,
but you've gotten this year so far. I
got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10.
10 Narragansetts.
10 Narragansetts.
And how many chickens have you hatched?
I got like 13 chickens.
Okay.
But I have not been concentrating on growing, incubating chickens at all. I've been doing turkeys.
And guineas.
Turkeys. And then this batch I did guineas.
Yeah.
Only because I had some eggs and she had said, oh, well, I would like to have some of those kind of birds. And I'm like, if I hatch them, you are taking them. And she was like, yeah, I'll take them.
I love that idea.
I am not keeping any more guineas.
Nito says, B, why don't you put your guineas in where your potatoes are planted and let them take care of your bugs?
Hmm. Well, they kind of are over there already, aren't
They
they?
free range in there. Maybe put some
Not
T-posts up
enough.
and encourage them.
Force them in there. I cannot catch my guineas. My guineas are wild animals. They go wherever they want to go.
Tambra says, oh man, I'd love to have some turkey poults. B gives lots of them. How many turkeys do you suppose you've given away this year?
I have no idea.
Yes.
I have no idea. I have zero. I have no idea.
A bunch.
I have tried to hatch every egg that I could get. To just trying to get some Narragansetts. And I got 10.
Yep. Nito says they don't scratch like a chicken, but they love bugs of all kind.
Hmm.
Yeah, running guineas in gardens was a good idea. Super good idea. Luis says we had a friend in North Carolina who lived off grid. We used hot red peppers for his chickens during the winter. He said it kept the innards warm. They laid all year. Interesting. Well, I have heard that chickens don't taste spice. Like
the innards warm?
Yeah, just kept them warm so they could lay eggs.
Hmm.
Yeah, Cameron said I dug my taters today. Does that mean you dug them up? Because it'll be a long time before we dig ours up. If you dug them up now, they'd be what, pea size?
I did pull one out of the ground. They're like new potatoes.
All right, cool. What else?
So let's see, hatching birds, planted stuff at American Roots. You worked on solar there.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we went over to this week over to American Roots and helped them a little bit. I also went to the King's place a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, quite often we go and work together, not necessarily so much because somebody needs you as bad as it's having that extra hand, somebody to hold a board, it just makes the process easier. And so we do that, quite often in different places. But I went and worked with His Highness a little bit. And we fixed the gas connection issue. And then when I went over to American Roots, I helped Joe build a solar racking system for a whole bunch of panels, which you could do 12 panels, if I remember right. And we got that done. And then you spent time in the gardens, right?
Yep, we planted, and then we looked at other things like where we were going to plant. We used that plant app, and we identified some things, and we're able to mark them. We took a Sharpie and we wrote it on the flag and put the flag in there so that we could remember what it was because we didn't plant it. So that way she can come back later and make a map of it and have everything kind of in paper form.
Jane says, and I love this, says put a mirror in your potatoes and the guineas will love it. They'll visit all the time.
They love to watch themselves?
They're vain. They probably think this song is about them.
Huh.
Let's see here. Skane says, if B does a guinea impression, Tag, you should do a baby turkey impression at the same time. I don't really deal with the animals, so I don't really know what a baby turkey says. What does a baby turkey say?
It's true.
What does a baby turkey say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she is just not taking any of it tonight, is she? No bait. None. Jules said she was just watching videos about a solar racking system. Yeah, we just built one and it was super easy.
I've seen a whole bunch of different ones.
Took us
it seems like everybody does them differently.
Maybe 3 hours the first day and 3 hours the second day, maybe 6 hours total. Because the first day you're setting poles and concreting them in the ground and all that, and then another day you're actually building. But
is it going to be one big array?
Yeah, just one big array. But it's actually cool because there's a federal tax rule that doesn't allow them to tax you property tax wise on solar panels or mounts, or your solar system for that matter. But what's really cool about that is if you build it just right, you've created another shed to park your lawnmowers in, and and so that's a non-taxable building per se. Let's see here. Dana says, I was 2 weeks after 10/14, but I pulled mine 5 days ago. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a conversation. I don't understand, other than they died. Let's see here. Works for parakeets, parrots, mirrors, probably do with guineas as well. Cool. I like that. Yeah, Pockery says the tax rebate for solar may be ending soon. Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with power and the grid, and all that crazy stuff. There's not a better time than right this second, to go out there and get yourself some alternative energy of some kind. I would.
I would have to agree.
Yeah, just super big. What, baby?
Next, yep. I got a baby shower. I'm getting ready to help with. I'm not necessarily putting it on. I'm just helping with it. But we are working together to make a nice little invite into the world to our new little friend.
And the community gained another community member.
Yes, they're very excited.
Yep, they have birthright citizenship.
Yeah, so we've got, I think, 20 people coming about. Should be a nice little get together too.
Yeah, you're doing that tomorrow, right?
Yep, tomorrow evening. Yeah. And that will be fun. A few little games and some cupcakes and
do my best to disappear.
Some little sandwiches. I hope not.
Why?
It'll be fun.
No, it should be a time for all the, chickies to hang out. And
there'll be guys and kids and
I'll be working.
There'll be cake and watermelon.
Yep, just we all need.
Something else. I got to spend some good time with my BFF of over 20 years. She got to come down and spend the night, and got to spend a little bit of time with her and reminisce about the good old days. Actually, it's like, gosh, whatever happened at the time? Kids were all grown. Her youngest is graduating high school, so she's like, whew, now what? And I'm like, move down here. She's like, no. I'm like, you could change a job, you could change your house. Kids are grown. What? Come on. What's keeping you there? She's like, my whole life is here.
Hey, Nito says, our installer says the engineer is almost finished with our plan so he can submit to the county for approval. I hate almost everything about your statement. Nothing personal. Engineer,
county,
plan, submit, permission, approval. Yeah, all bad.
Sorry.
Bad. Yeah, that sucks. Hey, Lazy Loper. You know what, Lazy Loper? I think this is the first time you've ever beat Squatchy in. And I could be wrong because we've had a lot of lives, but I'm pretty good at remembering stuff like that. I think that you beat him. Mario said, what are the price points for entry level, mid level, and what you think the top level for alternative energy, and what does it include? So, I mean, here's the thing, Mario, you can buy complete packages and it has everything.
Like my chicken coop.
Yeah, it's like what I put on like our chicken coop or turkey coop or barn. Those are all smaller systems, really designed to run a pump and some lights. I can move a little bit of water and I got lights. I don't really need it for anything else out there. Now in her barn, I guess you have a milker I'll have to deal with. But when you're talking about a house, it just depends on what you want to run. There's systems out there that you can buy that all they run is a mini split. That's all they do. They run your air conditioning, which is a huge energy load, thing. But if you're talking about like whole house systems, you can get, again, what do you want to run? When you talk about, entry level, you're talking about entry level from a brand perspective or from a power perspective, and so I would love to have this conversation with you more, Mario, because I can really help you if I understand better, what you're trying to accomplish. I can tell you that a super cheap system out there, you could probably get just run the very, very basics for $1,000, $1,500. And then if you wanted to run everything to a good brand name, good solar components to run, your entire house. Oh, not counting the mounts. So just the panels, the inverters, all of that stuff, the mounts you'd have to make, but not counting those, maybe $35,000. If you want a big system, something to run it all. But again, there's so many variables, and all of that. Let's see here. Where am I at? Oh, it was a Lazy Loper, so I can pick up right about there. Yeah, Pockery says, Mario, I probably got 30K in mine so far, and it's all DIY, no labor included. Yeah, but they're easy to put in. Hey, Kent, what's up, buddy? Welcome. Good to see you. Let's see here. I'm probably way behind. Hey, Bill and Fallon, how's it going? Yeah, there you go. Skeins makes a great point. Well, for entry level, I have an old exercise bicycle. Right. Right. Hey, well, that's kind of true though. What are you trying to run, right? And then how long do you want to run it for? Because it's the best way to think about this, guys, when you're thinking about solar, is your panels are nothing more than how fast you want to charge, how well you want to charge in low light conditions, right? Or how much power you want to have available when the sun comes out. That's it. Your inverters are how much power you want on demand, and your batteries are how long do you want to go without sun. So you kind of got to answer all of those questions, and then that kind of puts it together, for you.
Can't you look at your bill, your previous bills, and kind of figure some of that out?
Yes. Can you put a price tag on a kilowatt and gauge it that way, like $10,000? Buy as you 5 kilowatt of solar power? Yeah, you can, but that number will change. And this is the reason why it will change. In the small systems, it's super cheap. So your prices, as you go up in power, it becomes exponentially more expensive.
Right.
Right. So going from 10 to 20 is a lot cheaper than going from 20 to 30 per se. Right. But yes, you could do that.
So why wouldn't you buy 3 smaller systems and piggyback them instead of buying one big system?
Yep, good question. So some systems you can do that and some systems you can't.
Right. Like that's why we bought ours. Although ours, there's a lot of wire. I'm just going to say that. There's a lot of wire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nito says a few years ago, the liberal idiots in the state of Nevada changed a lot of the rules and regulations regarding solar, not for the better. I don't see why anyone has any right to tell you what to do on your property, period.
I know, it's so crazy.
Just no matter what it is. I don't care. I mean, you can have safety, you can have freedom, you can't have both. Right. There you go. Yeah. Says, hey, Mario and Jen, sounds like a road trip to install solar, and we would absolutely do that too. We get a crew up to do that.
She probably would not want all of us up there at the same time.
No, all of us need to come. Yeah. We need to make it as overwhelming as we can make it.
We'll fill our trucks with your stuff and help move it.
Out of our comfort zone, right? It's the only place we grow. And it would be our job.
To the fire.
Okay. What else you got, Punk?
That's it, because we'd already talked about Memorial Day. What are your guys' Memorial Day plans?
Oh, yeah.
Are you doing anything about Memorial Day?
Yeah. No, Memorial Day really isn't a celebratory thing for me, So, I would, probably just keep my head down and try to get something done.
So it's like every other day.
No, it's a day that you're kind of sad, to be honest. I'll think about my dad a lot.
Yeah.
Him fighting for his country is ultimately what took his life. Many, many, many years later, because it breaks you over time, So I'll probably spend my day thinking about my dad. Yeah, Jen says, oh, I would love that. And look how she spoke.
I would.
Love that. I have rooms available. Oh, no, Jen.
No, she would.
No, Jen, we like the other one better.
She would.
Because the other one has a better and kind of another meaning to it, right? Wood cooking, right?
Thursdays would.
Yeah, Jules says I need to get all the pieces for my solar system and send up the bat signal. 100%. Yeah, and it is not that hard. I'm telling you. I used to be scared of it.
Yeah.
We've done enough of it now that.
Yeah.
It's.
Really, but getting all the material available at beforehand is helpful because they don't like to stand around.
Yeah.
They get antsy if there's nothing to do.
Yep. Terminator said, I'm just using my small solar system for charging my 12-volt battery I use for my small pump to draw water from the well during the spring and the summer. Yep. That's kind of what I mean by you got to kind of identify what you want the system to do, and then we can put it in the entry level, medium, and top level, and then describe what you get if you understand what you do, because it's just kind of complicated that way, Mario says, bring your kayaks and camping gear. Sounds like a river trip. I agree. B's not a big fan of water. Yeah.
I'll watch the dogs.
Stupid auto-populated words. Didn't learn that on their AI program. Yeah. Skane says, I'm going to spend it being productive. Don't know what yet.
Mm.
Hey, Zeus. Welcome in. All right. All right. So we start getting stuff going on around the farm.
Yeah. Do we have anything going on?
We do. So I've been working on getting, hey, Squatchy's in the house. Dude, your wife totally smoked you in tonight, buddy. Totally. And I really think it was the first time ever, but we made the comment. Anyway, I've been working on getting a fence around the food forest. And the reason I want to fence the food forest is because every year I plant some tree. It's doing great. We get into the winter and the rabbits chew it off at the bottom, killing my tree. And so it is time for me to spend some time putting up the food forest fence. So I've been working on getting that done, which is, it's mind numbing. It's like one of those jobs. I don't really enjoy it because there's no smarts in it. It's just
wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah. Over and over and over and over.
Level it, stake it.
Yeah.
Concrete.
Yep. Yeah. Dana Green says, no water for me either. I'll watch the dogs. Oh, you guys are so missing out. We found an emu farmer with meat we are picking up tomorrow. That's a huge blessing. Oh, cool. Yeah, we got to figure out how to come up with a burger for the July event too, don't we?
Yeah, burger and chicken.
Yep. Yeah, emu oil is great. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Those wasky wabbits. Yeah, dude, the rabbits, the deer. We don't have as much deer pressure as we used to because of the dogs, but we have plenty of rabbit pressure.
What is the cost of an emu meat? Is it like ground? Is it like burger? What's the cost on that a pound?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, sorry. I was clicking on the wrong slideshow. It's crazy. Here's my next row that I just started on. I'm going to work on that one next. That's the road that goes down to the community building. See that? I got all those holes dug.
It did. What is that? Why is there a complete circle right there?
I have no idea.
Isn't that weird?
No, something sat on it. A tire. Something. That's a weird looking tire.
You got my babies right there.
Yeah.
See them?
Yeah, so bone sauce and tree trunk wrapping hasn't helped you out with your rabbits. Pack rat, here's the thing.
That's a lot of tree trunk.
I can't wrap them all. There's just too many. That area is, I mean, we're literally trying to build a forest. So the ability to go in and wrap all of them, it's just too much. It's just too much. So I'm just going to fence it. I'm putting one big cage around the whole food forest because I am tired of putting them around the trees. And then here's the other thing. If you don't pay attention to it, what happens, this is what happened to me. I just did this, is that the branches begin to grow out around the cage, right? Because if you don't take it off, the tree branches grow out it. So I spent, I'll bet you 4 hours cutting cages off of trees these last couple of days because branches had gotten out and I hadn't noticed it or whatever it was. And so I'm just.
We started with very little trees and smaller cages, and they have gotten big enough that they have just engulfed not the trunk, but the branches had gone beyond the cage, and it was tearing. It was not good.
Jen says burgers $15 a pound and steaks $25 a pound. Let's see here. Jen says it's expensive, but I'm getting no red meat in my diet, so the price is right for getting the nutrients I'm missing. 100%. You have to let me know how it goes. We closed escrow this morning on our last property in California. Hallelujah. We have finally left the nest. I'm feeling pretty blessed about that. Yeah, good for you.
Congratulations.
Good for you. Yep. Let me see here. So anyway, we've been doing that. Look, I took a picture of your plum tree. Look at all those little plums. And this is a first year producing tree, right?
Yeah. We pulled this from the other house.
Yeah.
This tree needs to be pruned bad.
Yeah, clearly.
Come on now. Yeah. God wanted it like that.
Clearly. Yeah. What's that?
That's peony.
Yep. You got them growing too, don't you?
Yeah, those are from my dad's. And then garlic next to it there. Yeah. And then there's some yard lettuce. I think that's about it right there. Those are the elderberries and the gooseberries.
Yeah.
A little dead branch there.
Yeah, but look how beautiful and healthy all those look.
Yeah, they're pretty healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting too because I go to some people's houses and I said they're elderberries, and it's like they look so.
Mm-hmm.
They're like green or like sticks, like trees. They almost like trees with umbrellas on the top, and mine are just like
A big gigantic bush.
big gigantic bush. So what happened? The deer, the first 4 years, the deer came out and ate the elderberry all the way to the ground, just kept eating it all the way to the ground. And I caged it, all of them. And some of them, so last year was the first year that I actually got a plant. It was like, oh, I have a plant.
And now look at them.
And then it was like, oh, I have elderberries. And then I had at one point in time, last year, there was a 13-gallon trash bag full of elderberries in my freezer. I was getting overwhelmed with elderberries.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I think it's going to be worse.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
That's the horsey. That's a horseradish. And it looks just fine.
Let's see here. Skeins Girl says, but your horseradish is excellent, by the way. Says we had similar problems in our pasture, says Pack Rat. The family wanted to just put triangles of wire and fencing around the new bare root trees, and the cattle scratched on the post and ripped the cages off. Yeah, I'm just gonna, as I get older and older, I just am like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in. I'm gonna put infrastructure in, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Oh, same one.
At least for a while.
Skeins says, do you have mimosa or magnolia trees there? Wondering how much to harvest here? No. No, people have magnolia trees and mimosa trees, but they bought them and planted them. They're not native to here.
But they are beautiful.
They are
if you can
beautiful,
get them transplanted.
Yeah. Let's see here. Gregory says up here we didn't get a late frost, so we should get some fruit for a change.
Yeah.
And how crazy is that to think about? Okay, planning in your, sustainability plans, the years of not getting something, right, and how that factors in.
Yeah. Right. So if you can do for 2 or 3 or 4 years, that would be better. And then you can just rotate and give away what you can't use.
Yeah. That's why I think a food forest is so important. It's not the only thing. I mean, having livestock, having a garden,
yeah,
all of those things matter. But having an active food forest that you can just grow abundance and then begin to spread out. This food forest, I actually call it the nursery. I call it that all the time. And I call it the nursery because our goal is we just like this horseradish that needs broke apart. I'll take some and put them out in the woods, take them and put them all over the property, and
better not.
Continue to grow them. Jen says you need to make some syrup.
Yeah.
Hey, conserve friends, how are you? Says those wascally rabbits moving down much of my transplants. Grr. I have an appointment with my Daisy BB gun. Yep. Yep. Dana says, good question. I've been harvesting mimosa flowers, but what to do with magnolia? That is a good question. And I don't know.
There was a guy on the internet that just made magnolia cupcakes, I think, and he used a magnolia cookie recipe. So you can make cookies out of the buds.
Love this name. She is Sunshine.
She
is sunshine. That's a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. But welcome in. I love the name. Let's see here. Hey, Starla Dope. Welcome in. Good to see you. If your land is sloped, plant some fruit trees on the north slope. They should flower later and less chances of a late frost getting the flowers. Yeah, our whole food forest is sloped on a north slope. But lots of people say that. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. I am way behind. Okay. Packrat says the food forest is the closest thing you can do to building a perpetual motion machine. Yeah, well, and perpetual sustainability is super important. And you can't have perpetual sustainability if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't have some type of perennial garden, right? Something that comes back year after year after year after year after year, and then also allows you to move and transplant and give away, right, and bless other people and those kind of things. So we're going to continue to grow it. Yep. Lisa says in her neighborhood, mimosa is practically invasive. Interesting.
Wow.
Jen says we can run them through the steam juicer. Yeah, I've bought B2 steam juice. She never used them, but I did buy her two
I
of them.
know. She's like, what?
I know, right?
Okay, so I'll have everything here. Just come up. I'll let you know when they're in bloom. They're in bloom. Oh, when the berries are ready. Actually, I think I could just freeze them and then we could do something with them, right?
Who knows?
I'm asking Jen.
Okay. Anyway, look at that.
Yeah, there's a couple there. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those are elderberry bushes.
Well, and there's probably more
coming the other way, yeah. And then 2 pear trees, looks like. I think those are pear trees.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful, though? Yeah, Jen says, yes, ma'am. All right, let's keep it trucking. So this is a new swell that we have just started. And if you, I don't know if you're how good your eyes are, but if you look, we planted 2 apple trees, 3 new apple trees in this swell. And this will begin this swell, right? Start with the fruit tree and work your way, from there. And then B will begin to plant stuff in and around it. And we'll just keep packing it full.
Is this where we just put the cherry trees? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think we put cherry trees in that one. We might have. That's an apple tree right there. Yeah, I think there's apples.
I'm trying to figure out. So you're up by the trash can. So
the reason why I included
number
this picture is
2.
because this is what it starts. And this is where you're going.
Yeah.
Right. So this is.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yes,
so
this is 5 years in.
Right. So this is year one. Right. Right. I just wanted to point that out because I think that's really important.
Yeah. Don't put them too close together.
This is not what this is the beginning, right? A pile of dirt with some weeds on it, and and then
I got a pumpkin in there. I've got or some squash, I think.
Yep.
Just trying to take some earth, trying to utilize the space.
Yep.
Cover Mother
look,
Nature.
you can see one of my cages. In the bottom right corner, you guys can see a cage I had to cut into a million pieces to get it out from around my tree.
Yeah.
That was not fun. I did not enjoy that job.
No, and that tree, there was no way I could lift that up and over that tree the way it was.
Yeah. Oh, tell them this story.
Oh yeah.
Just because you, that cracked me up.
I found a big old patch of dill. I'm like, I've never grown dill. Dill won't grow. And then we get to the spot and he goes, well, what is this? And I was like, that's dill. And I was like, wait. And I went over and I was like, pulled some and smelled it. And I'm like, yes. And it's so there's a mother plant and then there's a couple of other plants. And it's so exciting.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that just this week she was talking about she can't grow dill, she can't grow dill, she can't grow dill. She's planted it don't grow. And then we walk out to this is out on the kind of the edge of the food forest. And she finds it.
Big old patch.
And it's a whole bunch, right? Look at that.
I love it. And you can see above it too, the swell of it.
I have a picture of that one.
Oh, because that one is.
Yeah. Let's get. Gregory says, your cherries sweet or tart? I think they're all sweet. Yeah.
The ones we just planted,
yeah.
Bing.
Bing and Regina.
Something like
that.
Yeah.
2 of each.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, Jane says, I have dill envy. And it's such a good deal. Everybody gets a good deal.
Dill.
Yeah.
Dilly.
Yeah. Nito says that deal is happy in that spot. Yeah. Well, we're just going to leave it be too. Right. All right. There you go. Why don't you tell them about all the stuff in there?
Yeah. This is the yarrow. There's yellow yarrow in there, which is the one closest here. And then there's catmint. And
can you blow it up? I can do that.
Like that better. White yarrow, which is just the common. Then comfrey and
you missed this stuff right here.
Cosmos. This catmint. I said catmint.
Did you?
Yeah.
There's comfrey.
It's all catmint. It's just gotten, and I started with just like a tiny little 4-pot little cube, like the size of an ice cube. And I just plant it and it just has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Cosmos are in the center there where it's like lime green. And then beyond that is a giant comfrey plant.
And then there's 2 cherry trees in that row.
Yes.
Yep. Right. surrounded by comfrey and all your other
and all
lotions and potions.
herbs.
Camber says, what's the purple flowers?
That is catmint.
Yeah, Nito says dill is a bug deterrent. Maybe she just put that out by her potatoes. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna plant alyssum
Elysium.
Yeah, that's
funny. That's funny. All right.
That looks wonderful.
This is probably the top half of the what I call the nursery.
Those are potatoes.
But covered in hay right there is potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we bale our hay, we just have prairie grass because we don't do brome or any of that stuff.
And we didn't plant any.
But anyway, whatever the cows don't eat through the winter, then we use as mulch.
And this is a couple of years old. This hay.
Nito says alyssum is also a bug deterrent.
Alyssum.
Yep. There's potatoes and
that's sweet potatoes.
Yeah, you just can't see the plants because they just planted them.
And we got about halfway that mound. We got about halfway covered.
Camber wants to know, what are the purple flowers that are on the sides of the road in Kansas? Typically that'd be clover.
Oh,
right.
I mean it could be.
That's vast majority is gonna be clover.
Chicory. It could be.
Chicory has a big old flower. She's talking about that's in the field. You know, when you drive, and there's lots of purple.
No, that's not clover. That's like nettle. It's a nettle of some kind. Not purple clover.
Mm-hmm.
What purple clover?
I think that's what it is.
Not Dutch clover. It's not sweet clover. It's not.
Louise says henbit.
Henbit. That's it. That's the purple stuff in the fields.
Oh. Well, looks like I got told, huh? Yep. Anyway, so
My whip wagon Jen says it's henbit.
B was very excited.
I have my baby.
Yeah, she was very excited because
that's my baby right
I was
there.
trying to find a picture of you excited. You want to tell them why you're excited?
I'm excited because the greenhouse, look, I've got only one row left. Everything else has been cleaned out and planted. How wonderful.
Yeah, Packrat says, Bride says it's purple dead nettle, the best medicine ever.
Could be some of that too. There is both.
Yep. So she's got what you guys see there. That's all that's left in the greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is in the ground. So why don't you talk a little bit about
and there's
what's
like
left in
that
there.
one flat right there is Swiss chard, and that's for somebody. But and 4 flats up above are, or at the top of the page, are turmeric. And they have not sprouted yet. I can see little buds still, but nothing has come out of any of them. It is not wet. It is not dry. It is kept in between in a greenhouse. So it's
Lisa says those
hot.
purple flowers late in the season could be alfalfa too. Yeah, Dana says, look at that baby. Yeah, this is actually what the baby shower is for, right?
For that little baby.
For that little baby. Yep.
Yep.
So what else you got on there? Anything else you want to talk about?
There's a couple tomatoes in there. There's a mint on there. There's some hyssop in there. There's the alyssum. Alyssum is the one right there. I have some moringas in there. The tobacco is in there. My seed of tobacco got wet. My little stash. I had a secret stash of overwintered Buffalo Seed Company white buffalo calf woman seeds that I had been like hoarding, and they got wet. And so it is all or nothing for my seeds this year, for my overwintered white buffalo calf seed woman seeds. So
white calf buffalo woman seeds.
I have put all my entire load is in that seed tray.
Jane says turmeric takes longer to come up, and then ginger at my place, but the blooms are cool.
I can't wait. Is there anything you can do to make them come up faster? Because I'm super impatient.
Well, why don't you talk about
Whoa, those are really stretched out birds.
Oh.
The first one is the
Guineas.
guineas.
And the turkeys.
I
Yeah, that
don't even
picture
really
sucks.
see them.
Yeah, let me try to change the picture here.
But the others are my Narragansetts.
No, that doesn't work good.
One,
that one?
Little.
Jen says turmeric is finicky. It can take 2 months to start growing.
Good grief.
Juby Joe says, can you eat tobacco leaves? You can't, probably make you sick though. It's a good wormer. It's a good wormer. Jane says, wow, what a greenhouse. Yeah, she's got a cool little greenhouse, but I'm so excited that almost everything's out of there.
Yeah,
right?
Me too.
Yep.
It feels good to get it out of there.
Why don't you talk about
Especially when there's so much in there.
I swallowed wrong.
Yeah.
I got it.
You okay? You just swallowed
Yep. Nope, we're
good. Yeah, so it was everywhere. I had things on every shelf I could, and then on top of the planting surfaces also.
Mario says, what did you use, Tag, to dig the holes for the trees? I used the skid loader with a big auger bit, and I just drilled a hole and walked away. That's good
Basically.
stuff. Real quick, don't forget, on July the 5th, we're going to have our first annual Freedom Fest at the community building. Jim Gale's coming down from Food Forest Abundance. He's the founder, and we're going to talk about food forests. And I think it's neat to build on what Joel started with, which is rotational grazing. And then we're going to move into food forests, and we're just going to continue to build on the things that we've learned. And guys, I promise you, none of these people have it 100% right. So we're going to take the great and add it to what we already know and continue to grow as a community and continue to get better. So I'm super interested in that. Also, we're going to have the first ever Homestead Olympics. I have no idea what this looks like, and I continue to and will continue to encourage you guys to help me think of ideas that would be included in the Homestead Olympics. They were going to do a barbecue sauce contest. Fireworks is going to go on.
A pie walk.
A pie walk, yep. I don't even know what that is.
So you bring a pie and you basically
take
trade
it for a walk?
Yeah, well, it's like you sit in the chairs.
Oh, okay.
And then right?
I feel much better about this.
What?
I thought you were going to walk around with a pie. I didn't get it. Like that's
like a cakewalk, but it's for pies instead of cake.
So it's a pie walk, but you're sitting down.
You walk around the chairs, and sit down
With a pie.
No, I would imagine that the pies would be on the table over there.
Then why do you call it a pie walk?
Because you take the pie with you when you walk away.
What?
When you're done. So when you win, you go pick your pie. Which one do you want?
Okay,
I want that one. I want the apple pie.
Okay, so you play musical chairs, and then the person that wins gets to pick which pie they want.
Yes, and then it keeps going and going and going.
Isn't it amazing it took us 20 minutes to get to that?
I didn't realize you didn't know what a cakewalk was.
Nope. Nope. Conservative friend says cow chip throwing contest. Yeah, apparently everybody else gets it. Right? Jen says you play musical chairs. Dana says win pies. And Jesus says like musical chairs, winner gets pie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Winner gets a pie.
Apparently I'm a dumbass. I didn't know that. Anyway.
You didn't walk around with your pie? That sounds stupid.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Who wants to do that?
What else is going to go on that day? Still talking about doing a slip and slide. I've done nothing with it. Right?
Yeah.
I'd like to get the kids built another something on the playground so that we just continue to expand that.
Are you using the kids' playground equipment for your Homestead Olympics?
I don't know. I don't really know what the Homestead Olympics means yet. But,
okay.
But we'll figure it out. We're going to eat. We're trying to get enough healthy burger donated. We're going to have burgers and brats and dogs and chicken, right? Probably. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was just having a flashback of what did we talk about? Did we talk about burgers and brats?
Oh, you have to
Or
have
hot dogs and brats? We talked about hamburgers for sure. We talked about chickens, I'm pretty sure.
Babe, it's celebrating our freedom. You have to have
Yeah,
brats.
that's what I had to flash that through my head and was like, okay, yeah, I would imagine that would assume.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking for healthy hamburger and brats, hot dogs.
Yeah, homemade brats.
Homemade brats?
Yeah. We can find them. Remember, we're homegrown or at least made at the local butcher out of right? Because you can get them. I can go get,
Well, yeah, I guess we always did that before.
Yeah.
When
So at a cakewalk, there's a circle with numbered squares. Everyone walks around, and when the music stops, the MC draws a number. Whoever's standing in that square wins the cake. Okay. Yeah. What about cornhole and horseshoes? I know they're bringing cornhole, but we could easily put up a horseshoe ring. That's easy. Yep. Jesus says slip and slides work well in icy conditions. Yeah, that would be
yeah. Those hurt.
Gary Davis said, I would say an egg toss, but they're way too precious to waste. Freedom food. I want to know who the crash test dummies will be for this endeavor. We have to try the obstacle course out. Yeah, I'm in. I volunteer. You volunteer?
No, not the first time.
Big chicken.
Yeah.
Anyway, if any of you guys can make it, you're all welcome. You have to let me know you're coming though, because we got to plan food and and all of those kind of things.
Well, and space is limited in the building too.
And space is limited to about 100 people. So if you're coming, I would really encourage you to let somebody know so that we can put that down. But other than that, should be fun.
Should be fun.
You agree?
Yeah.
The one after this will be in the fall. We'll do a harvest festival right around harvest. Me and B got into a big debate about this. I think the harvest festival should be where you come together and harvest everything and preserve it and, all of the things that go on in the fall and get 100 people here doing the work. You don't like this idea though, do you?
I just don't think that you can harvest everything and process everything in one day.
That's a lot of people, babe.
I understand. But
we've stood whole houses in 2 days.
I understand. But
yep, Jules says I might have to think about coming up. It sounds fun, and we're gonna have a blast. Yeah, Jesus says we did a cornhole competition at work one time. It was fun. Yeah, I think we should do blindfold paintball. What do you think about that?
I think people are gonna fall and get hurt.
All right, let's get rolling. Let's keep rolling. Let's see. I was on Origins Reclaimed and Braveheart Nation yesterday. Is that right? Did a podcast with them yesterday. Dr. Darrell Wolf. I don't know if you guys know who he is or not, but if you guys are interested, go check that out.
Is it on your channel?
Oh my God, it's up with my pictures.
Is your whatever, is that on your channel?
No, it's not on my channel. It's on their channel. Yep. Had a beautiful rainbow.
There's like a double rainbow too, but too bad it didn't turn out.
There we go.
Yeah, we've had a lot of thunderclouds going.
What about something like a canning competition or a quilting and sewing competition like you see at the state fair? See? I agree.
That doesn't happen in one day. That would be stuff you would bring in. Right?
I don't know. A canning competition probably doesn't span more than a day.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Anyway, have you guys been noticing the weather? There have been a lot that's gone on, and luckily here in Kansas, we haven't had a lot of severe weather. There was a few tornadoes that touched down this last week, but it's been very mild compared to like Missouri and Tennessee and, Arkansas and, a lot of those places. And we have, good friends who were taking shelter during it in several different places, kind of around the country. But this was a storm. You guys see this right out my front door. You can see my skid loader sitting right there that was coming in. And it actually turned out to be a beautiful storm full of rain. Let's see here.
Was that the one that was passing by?
You bring in the preserves for judging.
You bring in the preserves. You don't.
Yeah, that's what B thinks too. Hey, Palmetto Paratrooper, what's up? Good to see you. Anyway, keep trucking. So Kansas this week, right in the same area, they had 5 EF3 tornadoes land, all within about a 2-hour time span. If you look at the clocks, you know, they say right there, babe, it started at 9:44, 10:04, 11:17, 9:22, and 10:47. So from 9:21 to 11:17, so right at about 2 hours, there was 3 or 5 confirmed tornadoes that hit the ground. There wasn't a lot of damage, luckily for us.
Look at that. That says that one started and ended in an hour apart. It was like that for an hour.
Yeah. 10:04 to 10:34. Yeah, that's interesting.
This one is only for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
155-mile-an-hour winds for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Jen says we're looking at 7 inches this weekend, according to Ryan Hall. Ugh, 7's a lot.
Of rain?
Of rain. Yeah. It's probably not snow. I mean, I know the weather's cooler and you feel like you need to be inside.
Well, it was chilly earlier.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but this storm that went through here eventually hit St. Louis. And in St. Louis, St. Louis actually took a direct hit. And people died. And I thought you guys would. Oh, hold on a second. It says, how close are tornadoes to proposed pipeline? Now, these are all down south. The pipeline I think you're talking about be up in the northeast corner. Anyway, this is the St. Louis SEMA commissioner. And as a tornado with 152-mile-an-hour winds arrived, Sarah, or they, them, and her staff were not available to activate the tornado siren. So they were unavailable. 5 people were killed and 38 injured because they were not available.
Why were they not available? Who?
I think that's a great question, babe. Yep. With no alarm sounded. Yep. So that tornado hit St. Louis, which is a huge city. Crazy. This is what we get.
And they didn't even sound the alarms.
Yep. Yeah, I think Packrat makes a really great point. I can compare this to the corporate world. You know, when you sit on a board of directors, you have a duty. And there's actually, if you look up, if you ever get bored, look it up. So a board member actually has a series of duties, like duty of care and duty of transparency and, you know, duty of loyalty. And there's a bunch of things that you have to follow in order to keep yourself out of trouble, right? And I would think that someone who's in charge, right, of these types of things would also have a duty of care, right? And an actual duty. And I don't understand why.
What's SEMA stand for?
It's emergency management, but I don't know what the C is, but Jane Bann said 3.1 earthquake in Gulf of America, 71 miles south of Gulf Shores, Alabama today. Interesting. Hey, Zag, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Nito said you have one important job, protect and warn the public. Yeah, and at what point could they be negligent? I doubt anything will ever happen, but pretty sad if you ask me. You know, that all those people died, and for what? You know? That's sad to you?
Their convenience. I mean,
yeah, well.
They didn't want to go do what they had to do.
Yeah, what happened to accountability? Oh, city. There you go.
City emergency management.
City emergency management. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Absolutely crazy. Anything else you want to talk about before I get to the good news for the night?
No. Go ahead.
You guys want to do some good news tonight? All right, let's do it. Long-range models are now suggesting a warm and dry summer ahead. And, you know, if you guys can think about what's been going on, if we have a warmer and a drier summer, what that means is that we're going to push the electrical grid even harder, right? Air conditioners, not to mention, you know, cars, specifically the electric cars, right? The data centers, you know, all of these things. So a drier, hotter summer for most of the United States isn't necessarily a good thing. Carrier management talked about projected searing temperatures across the U.S. and the proliferation of data centers are expected to send the electricity consumption to a 4-year high this summer, testing the grid and pushing the power prices up. Insurance Journal commented that PJM Interconnection LLC, the largest electric grid serving about 20% of Americans from the Midwest to the East Coast, warned that extreme heat this summer could trigger supply shortages for the first time. Hippocrates says, and that's why we depend on the government for our safety, right? Yeah, and I think this is a great example of why you don't do that and why you take care of your own needs and you stop asking the government and these systems for permission and you stop begging them, so please let me have some power, please let me have some water, and you do that stuff for yourself to the very best of your ability. Let's see, electrical power demand in the U.S. is climbing so fast that several regional grids are saying we could run short if the weather turns against us, quote. Again, thinking of the booming data centers, more electrical cars, and people cranking up the AC. And don't forget, you guys, Klaus Schwab, back in 2020 at the World Economic Forum, if you remember, he warned us of an impending cyber attack. In 2020, the World Economic Forum conducted a simulation called Cyber Polygon 2020 that predicted a coming global catastrophic catastrophe caused by a worldwide cyber pandemic. So they've been talking about it, and now they're saying it's going to get warmer. And is it? I don't know. Right? I can't believe anything. You guys don't believe any of these slides I show you, and yet believe all of them, right? Because who the hell knows?
Right.
I mean,
got it from the internet.
Well, I try to search them. I try to find good sources, but it's super, super hard to tell. Robert Kiyosaki, I don't know if you guys remember him or not. That's the guy that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay. I thought he had a very interesting statement. He said, the end is here. What if you threw a party and no one showed up? That is what happened yesterday. The Fed held an auction for U.S. bonds and nobody showed up. So what's that mean? Right? So you know what a bond is, babe? It's debt.
That means
it's a debt instrument. So you're selling off debt. And what you're saying is, hey, you buy this debt and in 5 years, let's say, or 10 years, whatever it is, I'll pay you back the money plus interest for you buying the debt, right? This allows us to continue to spend money, one of the many reasons, right? Many ways. So the Fed quietly bought $50 billion of its own fake money with fake money.
Yikes.
Right? So the party's over. Hyperinflation is here, he says. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. I also agree that prices are going to get worse. And I would rather have my money today wrapped up in a pallet of 2x4s than I would in the bank. I just would. The good news is, he goes on to say, is that gold will go to $25,000, silver to $70, and Bitcoin to $500,000. The big print. The title of Larry Lepard's latest book is on. Please read it. And so what he's really saying here is that what's going to happen is they are going to just turn the printing presses on and continue to drive, inflation. It's interesting. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but what your dollar is worth today, just compared to 2020. Right? I mean, it's lost 70% of its purchasing power since 2020 in 5 years. And yet they want to tell you that inflation is 5%, 4%. Yeah. Do your own, inflation index. And, since we're on that topic, they say that the stock market's been up 75%. And I want you guys to listen to this, because this is really important, because if you just look at the numbers, it is. Right? The Dow Jones is at 42,347, which over the past 5 years is up 73.09%. But Joshua goes on to say the stock market isn't up 75% over the past 5 years. It's down. The M2, and for those of you guys who don't know what the M2 is, that's the money supply, is officially up 40%. And those numbers are even manipulated. The actual inflation I see in my personal inflation index, along with other economists I talk to, is between 150 and 200%. So basically, your dollar has less than half to 1/3 of the buying power it had back in 2019. You probably see this at the grocery store. This means the stock market isn't up 75%. It's down by at least half in terms of absolute value, right? Because you got to take into the value of the dollar losing it. And there's a big de-dollarization going on globally right now. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. Because it's being measured in devalued dollars, any rally at this point is a recovery, because if the market had been flat in absolute value terms, it would be up at least 150%, not 75. And this is not financial advice. I think this is a really good way to look at it. Conservative Friends says China and Japan buy most of our bonds, both have financial trouble and won't be buying our debt for a while. Yeah, China's a mess. Japan's a mess. Pretty much everywhere is a mess. I can't think really of one place on the globe that's just doing fabulous. Yeah, absolutely insanity to me. All right, let's keep trucking, huh? I know you guys probably seen this, but the big one, the big, beautiful bill passed the House of Representatives. And, you know, Trump's been promising a lot of things in this big bill. So let's see what he has to say about it. And then let's take a look at what's actually in it. The House passed the big, beautiful bill. This is arguably the most significant piece of legislation that will ever be signed in the history of our country. The bill includes massive tax cut, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you purchase an American-made vehicle, along with strong border security measures, military-industrial complex, pay raises for ICE and Border Patrol agents, military-industrial complex, funding of the Golden Dome. This one's interesting. Trump savings accounts for newborn babies and much more. Great job to Speaker Mike Johnson and the House leadership, and thank you to every Republican who voted yes on this historic bill. Now it's time for our friends in the United States Senate to get to work and send this bill to my desk as soon as possible. There's no time to waste. The Democrats have lost control of themselves and are aimlessly wandering around, showing no confidence, grit, or determination. They have forgotten their landslide loss in the presidential election and are warped in the past, hoping someday to revive open borders for the world's criminals to be able to pour into our country, men to be able to play in women's sports, and transgender for everybody. They don't realize that these things, and so many more like them, will never happen again. What do you think about that, babe?
He has some promises.
Yeah, let's look at it closer. Thomas Massey got up and said, I'd love to stand here and tell the American people we can't cut your taxes and increase spending, and everything will be just fine. But I can't, because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality about a ticking debt bomb known as this big, beautiful bill. Yeah, Mo Engineer, and right on target, says notice Social Security is still taxed. Yep, and actually the Republicans voted, 215 voted for it, 2 voted against it, 212 Democrats voted against it. It passed by a count of 215 to 214. Back to Thomas Massey. Glenn Beck asked Trump, Thomas Massey said this adds more deficit than Biden did. Do you think he's correct? Trump responded and said, I don't think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander. We don't even talk to him much. He should be voted out of office. This bothers me because Thomas Massey's a good guy. You know, I don't know. I can't really point to a lot of flaws in Massey. I can point to a lot of flaws in Trump. So I don't particularly like that. GOP Senator Ron Johnson rips Trump's big, beautiful deal and says, I couldn't care less if he's upset. I'm concerned about my children and grandchildren, 37 trillion in debt, and we're going to add to it. There's no way I'm going to vote for this bill in its current form. And then he went on to vote for the bill. Right? Dr. Joseph says buried in Trump's big government bill is a prohibition on states regulating AI. Really? For 10 years?
10 years.
Quote, no state or political subdivision may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligent models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems during a 10-year period beginning the date of the enactment of this act. Good night, RN.
So starting now.
Starting now. Pack Rat for the win. He is a grandstander from Trump. Right. I did verify this information at several different sources. Rand Paul, went on and said, in case you need a reminder, our national debt is currently at more than $36 trillion. That's more than $323,000 per taxpayer. And Washington wants to add to that. The big, beautiful bill also helps get our financial house in order, the press secretary says, by carrying out the largest deficit reduction in nearly 30 years. This is a blatant lie, according to the Republicans against Trump. The CBO now projects the bill would increase the deficit by $4.6 trillion. If what I'm hearing is right, when the Tea Party began in 2007 and 2008, the national debt was around $10 trillion. This big, beautiful bill will add $20 trillion over the next 10 years on top of the $36 trillion we currently have. Well, what's funny about it, that's assuming that spending stops.
Right.
Right.
Because it continues to build. That is.
Yeah. I mean, so if you think about this, if they add $4 trillion, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, if they had $10 trillion over the next 10 years, and currently we're raising the debt $1 trillion every 3 months. Okay. So that means we're currently adding $4 trillion a year to the debt. In 10 years, that's 40 trillion plus the 20 trillion that this new bill is going to add to it. Now that's 60 trillion that we've added to the 37 trillion, which basically means we'll be $100 trillion in debt. But you know what the good news is? I have great news for you folks. We already are. If you count all of the unfunded liabilities of Social Security and all of the promises that have been made, we're way over $100 trillion. So by the time we get to this point, it'll be $200, $300 trillion. Guys, they'll never pay this off. There is no way this will ever get paid off. Hey, Nurse Wang, welcome in. There's no way. Only way this is going to get fixed is either they collapse it or they reset it. So the question becomes, which one are they playing for? Because I promise you they're playing for one of them. And it's probably not the collapse, probably a reset, in my opinion. So all of these things that are being done today, whether it be by Trump or any of the rest of them, are preparing you and me for the Great Reset, which I believe is absolutely coming. Yeah. Hippocrates says that's increasing faster than my BMI. Gary says promises made, promises kept. Yep. Many of them many years ago talked about the New World Order and talked about the Great Reset and talked about all those kind of things. And it's becoming more and more a reality. Mo says, I think Musk realized this debt was a lost cause and left. I actually agree with you, Mo. I think he went, what? Guys, they're not paying this off. I mean, you count unfunded liabilities and you count what they just passed at the House right now, it's $300 trillion. What, I mean, you're never going to pay that off. Let's put this into perspective. How much is that? Let's just talk about how much a billion is. Right? So if you made $100,000 a year, in 10 years, you'd have $1 million, right? Right?
I don't know.
$100,000 a year.
Yeah.
In 10 years, you'd have $1 million.
Okay.
It would take you 1,000 at that rate to get to $1 billion. And this is $300 trillion. I mean, never going to pay it off. Hey, Matt, welcome in, bud. They may be going for the reset while the real power brokers are positioning for either. Oh, I guarantee you they're positioning for either, right? Because there's no assurances. I mean, they got to plan for all contingencies, right? So let's talk. I'm going to change my screen here so I can read it a little bit better. So Trump's big, beautiful bill isn't just about tax cuts. It's quietly getting federal protections and reshapes entire agencies.
Oh, great.
Okay. Here's what's buried inside. Closure of the U.S. Department of Education. We knew this was coming, right? 25% expansion of logging in national forests, bypassing environmental reviews and fast-tracking timber production. Rollbacks of clean energy incentives, cutting tax credits for EVs, renewables, and gutting key climate provisions. More public lands opened up for drilling, mining, and logging with royalty breaks for fossil fuel companies. Withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, ending U.S. participation in global climate efforts. Executive Order 14215, forcing independent federal agencies to follow White House legal interpretations and centralizing authority under the presidency. That sounds good. Pension changes for federal workers hired before 2014, cutting take-home pay by raising requirement contributions, reducing future payouts, and eliminating early retirement supplements. REINS Act-style regulation repeal, where major federal rules expire unless Congress reapproves them every 5 years, allowing Trump to quietly erase protections without rewriting the laws. I'm going to get rid of my face for just a minute so I can get those bottom ones. Expanded executive control over agency budgets, allowing the White House to move federal funds internally without explicit congressional approval. Restorations of impoundment powers, giving Trump the ability to block or delay spending already passed by Congress, reviving powers stripped after Watergate. Creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, placing the White House aligned teams inside every federal agency with access to internal systems and influence over hiring and day-to-day operations. Sharp cuts in regulatory enforcement with agencies like the EPA, CFPB, and the Labor and Transportation Department, halting enforcement of key safety, environmental, and anti-discriminatory rules. Trump's personal control over economic policy, strengthening his power to direct tariffs, pressure private companies, and dictate pricing with little resistance, treating the U.S. economy. They're just spinning that. This bill isn't just big, it's a roadmap for dismantling oversight and hollowing out federal protections. But this is what Trump said he would do, right? I mean, he said, picture back up, he said, that he was going to get rid of regulations, right? Holy cow, MSNBC just broke down Trump's big, beautiful bill. Now, this is their spin, right? And it's not good. If you're in the top 20%, you get a 3.7% increase in after-tax income. If you're on the bottom, you lose $800. You get a large cut in Medicaid and other benefits. Yikes. Let's see here. Hakesraw 54, how are you? Says if they stopped all foreign aid, could that eventually eliminate the debt? I don't think so. I just don't think you guys should. By 2029, which is not very far from now, 33% of the GDP will be used to service the interest. So let's put this into perspective. 33%. Let's say that 33%, you guys, whatever you guys make in a year, write it down on a piece of paper. And imagine if 33% of that had to go every year to just paying the interest on your credit cards. Right?
That's like a mortgage.
Oh. Jules says Harry Sisson is a Democrat super troll. I don't even pay attention that he exists. Well, I do. And what I try to do is get all, as many sides as I can get, right? And I'm trying to make sure I understand it because I'm smart enough to understand that Trump's going to spin it the way Trump wants. This guy's going to spin it the way he wants. I'm going to spin it the way I want. You guys, at the end of the day, I want all of those different sources. I totally voted for all of this, says Tulip Little Angel. Most of the stuff that's on here, I don't mind. But not all. There's some of this that I think there's a reason why we have separations of powers in the government. And I also am not a bit happy about them adding $4 trillion more dollars because they want to go spend money. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that at all. You should live with inside your means. So beyond that, right. Pete says $323,000 for each taxpayer. Isn't that exciting?
That's a gut punch.
Yeah. Mo says 33% is about the max amount the bank will loan you to buy a house. Yeah, because they know after that it's catastrophic, right, Mo? Their debt to income ratio matters. All right, let's keep going on this. I'm going to get rid of my picture. There we go. The big, beautiful bill includes a MAGA baby savings account for newborn babies. It aims to provide a financial head start for children by establishing investment accounts seeding with a one-time $1,000 federal contribution at birth. So the federal government is going to open an investment account when you're born, and they're going to deposit $1,000 of taxpayer dollars into the account. See, I'm totally opposed to this.
Yeah.
Totally opposed to this. Am I not smart enough to do it myself? To take my $1,000 and do it?
Yeah.
I don't like this at all. Let me see here. The federal government would deposit $1,000 into a tax-advantaged savings account for each eligible child. The funds are intended to grow through investments, potentially in U.S. equities, until the child reaches 18. Contributions, parents, relatives, friends, or employees can contribute up to $5,000 annually per child using after-tax dollars. These contributions grow tax-deferred, but withdrawals are subject to capital gains tax. So nothing special. You can do that now. Funds cannot be accessed until the child turns 18. At 18, up to 50% of the funds can be withdrawn for specific purposes. So again, they're going to tell you what you can spend your money on. You can spend your money on higher education or training programs, small business loans, or first-time home purchases. At 25, the account holder can withdraw the full balance, but only for the same limited purposes. The accounts are described as tax exempt or exempt from taxation, in some sources implying tax-free growth on investments, though withdrawals may incur capital gains tax, which means it's not tax-free growth on investments. The structure resembles a Roth IRA or a 529 plan, but with unique restrictions. So they're going to give you what you already have,
but more restrictions.
They're going to use $1,000 of taxpayer dollars and give you some more restrictions. That's exciting. I really like that. To qualify for a MAGA savings account, a child must meet the following requirements. U.S. citizen, the child must be a U.S. citizen at birth, must have a social security number, and at least one parent or the taxpayer claiming the child as a dependent must provide a work-eligible social security number. If the parent is married, their spouse may also need a work-eligible social security number. The program applies to children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 as part of a pilot program. Some sources mention an age cap. Typically, children are 8 years old at the program start, though this varies across drafts. Parental options, parents can accept or decline the account for their children. Wow, that's very nice of them.
Yeah.
I can probably read it. Oop, wrong one. Oh, look at that. We're back. Good morning. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Get some comments in here. Goes back to, I want to spend my money on what I agree with, not what someone else wants me to spend my money on. Yeah, it's about, and I agree, Dana, control. Yeah. What happened to end the IRS? Big B, great question. I'm curious about that too.
We haven't gotten to that.
It's fine tag. You mean it's a fine tag? Like it's another fine? Or, oh, it's fine tag. They're here from the government and they're here to help. Oh, wait. Spending $50 million a year for alpaca farms in Peru is not helping Americans. Ridiculous weight. Get rid of the special interest and make lobbying legal. What happened to the simple bills? Right? We were just going to get these simple, clean bills. Yep, make lobbying illegal. I agree. Who is using that money until the child reaches age. Whatever? Well, I would argue they are, because they're part of the money that they're going to do in this more and more debt we talked about is they're going to build the Golden Dome, announced today. President of the United States outlined a bold vision for a layered defense to safeguard the homeland. We are ready now to support this mission with combat-proven systems and an open system architecture that integrates the best of American technology. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have announced a Golden Dome missile defense system for the United States. The Golden Dome will be capable of catching missiles from across the world or even space. We'll be completing the job Reagan started 40 years ago. Yeah. So you know who's going to get it? The military-industrial complex.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's who's going to get it. Yeah, that's a fact. JFK wanted to abolish the IRS. Didn't work out so good for him. Yeah. Yeah. End property taxes. That got quiet. Yeah. How about income taxes, right? Ron Paul went on to say there's a much cheaper Golden Dome. Stop irritating other countries. Funny how simple it really can be, you know? It just don't have to be all that complicated, you know? Hey, David, how you, bud? Says, how many billions of dollars are they going to print to pay for that? Oh, yes. Well, they're going to spend all this money because they just got another $4 trillion pay raise just this year. And 20 more trillion over 10 years. And once that's approved, if you go back to the bill, it lets him reallocate funds, which means he gets to move all that money into his administration.
Great.
Which means it won't be 10 years. It'll be in 4 years. So exciting.
Sounds like fun.
How many billions of dollars? Oh, sorry. I already read that one. Who is designing and installing it? Yeah, that's what we all thought. Yeah, Jules, I can assure you it will be far more money than $175 billion. Yeah. Let's see here. Jesus says, I heard something about the KISS principle. Maybe that would work. Maybe. Let's see here, follow the money. Yep. What happened to auditing Fort Knox? Well, they found the answer and figured that it would not be in the national security interest of the United States of America for you dumb citizens to know the truth. Pete for the win, says the Golden Starlink Dome. Which maybe that's why they don't want any states to have any regulation over artificial intelligence over the next 10 years. So exciting. You excited?
Right.
You excited?
No.
I got you pumped up yet?
No, it's kind of getting a little gloomy.
No. Moving on into economics. Home prices surge as sellers overestimate the market.
Oh?
Man, I gotta.
When does that happen?
Well, these houses like Arizona, the percentage of listings with price cuts is now almost 30%.
2788.
Yep, 24%, 21%. So housing prices are coming down, which I think they're overpriced and have outpriced a lot of people. So I actually see that as a good thing. But the share of student loan debt 90 plus days past due is now 7.7%, right? It is not as high as it's ever been, but it is definitely climbing and something we should think about. Will Be Cool says, we are done as a country. Glad I have 40 acres in the woods. Jen says Massey was pushing hard for single item bills. He's just a dumb farmer. They don't like him for being honest and having integrity. Yeah, and I was really hoping in the beginning that Massey would come in and be part of the administration. We'd go make some real change. But, Doge, all the stuff that's been going on. How many people have been fired? How many charges have been brought up? Yeah, I'm not that impressed.
You were hoping for more?
Way more. Like if you're going to clean it, clean it. We started the conversation earlier today about celebrate those who run into the fire.
Yeah.
Right? I was hoping that we were going to get an administration that was going to run into the fire.
Yeah.
Clearly that's not the case.
Maybe he can't. He can't.
Let's see. This is truly bad. There was no contact with 18% of U.S. consumers with 90 plus day new delinquencies of FHA single family loans. So this is homes, right? Such a number of people who cannot afford the house they bought has never been seen before. Higher than at any point in time in history. The U.S. economy is circling the drain. U.S. banks have $600 billion in unrealized losses. The U.S. government will also be paying $1.5 trillion a year on its debt. And let's put that in. This is before the new bill, right? So this is before. So now that has to be calculated. But right now we are spending more money in interest than we're spending on national defense.
Mm-hmm.
We're spending more money on interest than we're spending on Medicare and Medicaid, which is your biggest expenditures. The vast majority of millennials cannot afford housing. Homelessness is breaking records. 800,000 U.S. citizens are homeless today. 3 years of record inflation has left daily life unaffordable for more than half of Americans. Guys, this is true. I don't know if you guys go to the grocery store. I go to the grocery store, and it is absolutely inflation is not 4%. I don't care what they tell you.
No, it is not.
I was hoping for that too, but there must be some big dirt on Donald J. Patel, Bongino, Bondi, and so on. I don't know. I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing, just a little bit of a different flavor. And I had big hopes too. I'm losing that hope, but I actually think also that, guys, I'm telling you, they cannot get out of this. This is too much. They're going to have to reset it.
Mm.
They're pushing towards the Great Reset. And I think Trump very well may be doing what he believes is in the best interest of our country. But I think
it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. And they're setting it all up, in my opinion. Yeah, let's see here. U.S. jobless claims hit 3-month high. Mike Rowe, the guy from Dirty Jobs, warns Americans that the will to work is disappearing from our country. 6.8 million able-bodied men aren't even looking for a job. Here's why and what it means to the U.S. job market. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that women participating in the workforce has remained relatively stable since the early 1990s. However, men's participation is steadily declining, dropping from 86% who worked in 1948 to 68% today. That's bad.
Well, what are they doing?
No, there's no reason to go do it. Well, I mean, You know, the same reason you look at the same statistic, look at then how that equates to marriages and kids and birth rates, right? And all that stuff is just tied absolutely together. I got to get your beautiful face back up there. We only go to the store for ice cream and beer. Good for you.
Hey, you can make ice cream pretty easily.
Yeah. Cake Drop 54 says, remember, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Sheesh.
Yep. Yep.
And they will be happy.
Absolutely freaking insane. U.S. household debt climbs to a record. So not only are people delinquent, the debt is higher than ever. The U.S. household debt has climbed to $18.2 trillion in the first quarter. So if you want to think about the people in this world who give us a credit rating are $37 trillion in debt. And the people themselves are $18 trillion in debt. Neither are good, but I would say the people needs to be giving the government a credit rating. And while we're at it, don't forget the U.S. credit rating downgraded by Moody for the first time in modern history of the United States.
What is the other? It says
Other
the
types
mortgage.
Other types of debt.
What would fall under other?
Oh, it could be
credit card, auto loan,
a department store.
it would be credit card.
Well, I think credit card, just somewhere else you borrow money from. You know. So anyway, Moody's did downgrade our credit rating from A++. Move my slide here. Moody's strips U.S. of top-notch AAA credit rating. Moody is now officially a political agency, says Stephen Moore, not a credit rating agency. They downgraded America's credit rating from AAA under Trump, but before and when Biden spent $5 trillion and sent inflation to 9%, no problem at all. Trump's pro-growth tax cuts make America better, they claim. Well, I think this is absolutely interesting that the credit agencies haven't downgraded us to junk status with $37 trillion in debt and $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities, and they just added another $60 trillion to that. I think they'd have done that a long, long time ago, right? So we're no longer in the AAA club, just so you know. The U.S. credit rating has been downgraded to a AA+. Fitch cites the erosion of governance. Yeah, which is crazy. So now Finch did it. Now Moody's has done it now. Moody's downgrade. You see, all three major agencies took a decade to agree on the U.S. downgrade, but when it comes to India, they always seem to be on the same page. So basically, what they're talking about is Fitch. The S&P downgraded the government, the United States, in 2011. Fitch did it in 2023, and now Moody's done it in 2025. So that's pretty much all of them. Three. Yeah. Mo says, "Why work for a system that hates you and takes your money and gives it to people who squander it?" Yeah, this is the cart, analogy that, 100 people are pulling a cart and it's fine. And then 75 are pulling, and that's okay too, because there's 25 of the deserving needy. And then pretty quick, more and more people figure out they can go for a ride. And then there's about 25 people left pulling the cart. And one day they just drop the cart and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Nito says, wait, we were downgraded during Obama. Yeah, we were downgraded in 2023 by Fitch and in 2011 by the S&P. This is Moody's, which is the last one to do it. So now all three have downgraded us. Yep. Hakestraw 54 says people are conditioned to be in debt. How much of it because of people's wants and not their needs? Yeah. For the win, Jen says going galt. Yes. Yeah. We are going galt. We've been working on going galt for quite a while. Yep. And I would encourage everybody to do everything you can to go galt. The European Union, Trump says, which was formed for the primary purposes of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with. Their powerful trade barriers, VAT taxes, ridiculous corporate penalties, non-monetary trade barriers, monetary manipulations, unfair and unjust lawsuits against American companies, and more have led to a trade deficit with the U.S. of more than $250 billion a year, a number which is totally unacceptable. Our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting on June 1st, 2025. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States. Thank you for your attention on this matter. So Trump decides to dump 50% tariff on the European Union. I don't think the Europeans have a problem with the U.S. tariffs. More likely, U.S. consumers will have the problem of much higher cost and less selection. So remember how we were talking about earlier about how inflation and hyperinflation is going to raise the cost of everything that we buy?
Yeah.
Well, tariffs are also going to do that. Big B said, I thought you had some good news. I do. The good news is you're awake. The good news is you know. The good news is we get a chance to do something about it. And we get to meet here on Fridays and talk about exactly that. That is the good news. European markets tanked today after Trump threatened the 50% tariff on goods from the European Union. Investors had been betting on he'd ease off the early tariff plans, but he didn't. Europe's main stock index dropped 2%, with car and bank stocks falling over 3%. U.S. stock futures also dropped 1.5% as traders worried this could hurt the global economy. But here's the good news, Big B, just for you. The Amazon CEO, Andy Jassy, says that tariffs will have no impact on consumer pricing.
Oh, perfect. Good.
And because they say it on Amazon,
that's true.
Gotta be true, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen this. South Africa, if you guys are aware, there have been a lot of stories about white farmers being murdered down there, and their prime minister dude or whatever, he giving speeches about basically killing white people and all of that kind of stuff. And so he visited the White House this week, and he sat down with Trump. And Trump pulled a fast one on him. The media spent years covering up the targeted killings of white farmers in South Africa because it didn't fit their narrative. He confronted the issue head on beside the president himself under the bright lights of TV. So what he did is the president of South Africa was sitting there next to him. He turned on a TV and started rolling through him talking about killing white people and people are bad and blah, 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 and confronted him on it. President Trump ambushed the South African president in the White House with a video of the politician calling for genocide of white people in his country, and you should have seen them squirm. The representatives, they even refused to watch as Trump put it on TV. The picture all the way to the right, this is Durban, South Africa. This is what removing white toxicity looks like, a glimpse of the future to Australia, and I would argue the European Union, if they don't begin to change things. Yeah. Packrat says good for Trump. Yeah, this is something I like. I like that he did that.
He runs to it.
Big B says good news for 1K. Good news for $1,000, please tag. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great. I'll never be able to afford that new BMW. Yep. I actually like this. This makes me happy because at least he's doing something with it, right? Mm-hmm. In additional news, Secretary Rawlins announces a farmer first small family farm policy agenda. Right? This is exciting, isn't it?
I don't know. It depends on what.
Good girl.
They always name it something real pretty, and then you're like, "Wait, what is that?" Proposal to support small families.
Yep, good girl. So Secretary Rawlins says that she is going. Anyway, are going to make it better for family farmers. So I thought I would share with you guys exactly what this means. So the Small Family Farms Policy Agenda provides actionable solutions. So here are their solutions. You ready? We're going to ensure simple, streamlined, and transparent tools and applications. So they're going to streamline you asking for permission from the federal government. They're going to ensure reliable access to credit. Let me say it another way. They're going to ensure reliable access to debt. Ensure working farmland is used for farms. This one I like, right? This will prevent some of that industrial stuff eating up the farmlands. Ensure small farms can be passed on to the next generation for generations to come. I would love to see the details of this. Hyper-focus USDA programs for farmers on farmers. They're going to offer labor reform, enhanced access to risk management and business planning tools. Ensure definitions of farm size reflect modern day realities. So they're going to change the definition of a farm. Enhance farmer access to educational resources and make other small farm resources available. Where in all of this is we can sell our eggs or our milk? This is all regulatory BS. I thought we were going to get rid of regulatory. Packrat said, her bride says, most government programs do the opposite of what their name is. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Does it have to be registered and inspected? I'm out on that. That's what I'm saying. They're not making it easier. They're putting more bureaucracy into it. Yeah, and Hippocrates 100% instigator, but how is farm defined?
Oh, defined.
They're saying they're going to change the definition. Well, but how? You know? Instigator says farm would be less than what, 5 acres and 10 million gross? Yep. And Leela, 100%. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yep. Let me retune my violin. Yep. And vague as always. This is just insane to me. I don't see what this does. Oh, probably went the wrong direction, huh? Probably need to go the right direction. Here's the good news, guys. If you have nothing else to worry about, check this out. So Reuters went on to say using these devices to, say it a different way. In 2025, Reuters report suggested Chinese solar power inverters found with rogue communication devices. So the Department of Energy, some inspectors found basically cell phones built into inverters on U.S. power grids that were Chinese. Okay. So they were using these devices to bypass firewalls, switching off inverters remotely, and change their settings could destabilize the power grid, damaging energy infrastructure and trigger widespread blackouts. Experts who stripped down devices hooked to grids to look for possible security. Let me get rid of my picture here real quick. Law enforcement today says urgent solar inverters made in China found with rogue communication devices able to remotely shut down. In 2025, Europe's solar boom is hailed as a climate win, but they're now realizing that over 70% of the solar inverters come from China linked firms, giving Beijing potential access to critical infrastructure. These inverters hosted on Chinese servers pose a silent threat, says the intelligence agency.
They held information? Like
No,
they were holding information?
We've known this a long, long time. I've talked about this in my life, not this specific event.
I'm talking about the solar panels.
Yeah. China has been smart in that they have installed kill switches on much of our infrastructure. Right? They're in our transformers, they're in your routers, they're in a lot of things. They've done kill switches, which is why it's important that some of our critical infrastructure that we build for ourselves, we can disconnect, right? Or even never connect, as my buddy Mo would tell me, right? If you ever make the connection, that's a vulnerability, but having some of those things that's never been connected. Dana Green says pronounce Reuters. Reuters is fine by me.
Reuters?
So they painted up grenades to look like inverters and made us pay for them. Yep. Yeah, Jules says, who needs an EMP when they can disable us remotely? Exactly. And you know what the great thing is about disabling you remotely? You don't destroy any infrastructure. You don't destroy anything. It all can be repaired. Jen said, I wonder if that balloon was sending data back to check on said systems. Yep. Data says we are so compromised. Yep. If someone hacks the China tech, not even China, they could knock out just the same. Oh, this is a great point. So China puts these kill switches in there in the case we ever have World War III, and then some terrorist group hacks them and gets into all of our systems, and we, like 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Electronic warfare is where it's at. This guy's what I always tell you guys. Energy. It's where it's at. And it will be the big thing, and it will be the big issue. You all right?
I'm hot.
You want me to open a window?
I'm okay.
Open a window. It's cool out there. Look at that.
Oh, that's better.
Already?
It will be.
All right, what do we got? Oh, we got 2 minutes. I'll do one more slide. Okay, downplay and delay, bombshell new report. I got to be careful here because this is what got me banned last time. Downplay and delay, bombshell report exposes potential health risks of the thing. Pushed by top officials in the Biden administration, led by Senator Ron Johnson. A group of senators found high-level figures under the former president withheld crucial health information from the subcommittees and the public, reports Fox News. The FDA instructs the thing manufacturers, Pfizer and Moderna, to update warning labels that the thing may cause heart inflammation, myocarditis, and how do you say that, babe? Pericarditis. Remember all those athletes collapsing after the experimental thing? Senator Ron Johnson says, do you have any science to back up your opinion? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Dr. Peter McCullough testified in front of them this week. And he responded, in the largest autopsy series published today, we examined these cases that came in for autopsy after the thing. In 73.9% of the individuals, it was determined that the mRNA thing was the cause of death, he responded. Died suddenly posted that remdesivir was considered too unethical to use for Ebola trials because it had a 53% kill rate, yet it was the only drug that was approved to treat the thing. Backrat says the thing they did with the stuff is doing the thing that it was designed to do. Yeah. 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 What an absolute mess. Safe and effective narrative just collapsed on camera. Senator Ron Johnson brought the receipts exposing how the last administration deliberately hid, again, that information. Then Dr. James Thorpe, who's an OBGYN, revealed miscarriage data so disturbing it left the room silent. This is the Senate hearing they never wanted you to see. It turned 3 hours of footage into a 5-minute read. Secretary RFK has now ordered them to remove the recommendation for pregnant women, teens, and children. That's great. Kansas Attorney General wins first battle of lawsuit against Pfizer. Love that. And Joe Rogan revealed a new study estimating that the thing, mRNA, have killed more Americans in World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined. He dropped those numbers during a conversation with Aaron Rodgers. And to close it out, we'll leave it on this last slide right here. Here's the actual hearing. And I first want to point out that the panel was placed under oath. So that's important, right? And some of the things that came out of it was Dr. McCullough talked about how he saw warning signs as early as August of 2021 that this could cause those heart issues. And before it, Dr. McCullough saw 2 patients with this problem. Now there are over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies on this exact issue. This one especially hurts as I'm seeing close friends struggle with fertility, says Dr. James Thorpe, the OBGYN guy. Found that the thing causes miscarriage, stillbirth, birth defects, and even death of a newborn. Also, in an animal study, found that the thing destroys 60% of the ovarian reserve. Studies even found that women who had the thing in the first trimester had an 82% chance of miscarriage rate. Currently, the CDC reports that it stays in the arm for a short period of time and then it leaves the body. However, Dr. Jordan Vaughn cited to a study that found that the thing in the heart tissues of mice. Dr. McCullough says that it was reckless for sports teams to mandate the thing when strenuous activity should be avoided with people with these types of heart problems. Why is this continued to allow to be happen? Big pharma, that's why. All right, I don't even know where I'm at, so I'm just going to pick a place. Hillary was under oath, doesn't mean squat. I agree. That was a good video. We'll see if anything is done. We will see. Right, worried about family members, one son and sister. I couldn't believe that the head of the OBGYN at my hospital in 2021 stated clearly that the thing was safer for pregnant women than getting the virus and recommended every pregnant woman get it. Ugh. Yeah, and they have to live with that. I think that this thing is going to go down as probably one of the worst things to ever happen from a government to its own people. And we'll read about it in history books. And the really cool thing is we're living through this history. We're living through the Great Reset. We're living through the unraveling of this, and we get to play a hand in what comes behind it. I don't know. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Too many buttons. But I do think it's cool that we get to live through it. And I do think it's cool that we get to have a say in what the Great Reset is. You know, the Great Reset don't necessarily mean bad. It's just like the word manipulation, right? Could be something great if we go out and get busy and we put our boots on, you know, and we go approach schools about eating healthy, and we go to our county commissioners meetings, and we go to our school board meetings, and we go get involved. Yeah. Maybe the Great Reset's a wonderful thing. Maybe we do, as Bigby says, justice, please. Maybe it does get to be served in the end, you know? But without ranting, B, why don't you get us out of here? Any thoughts?
No, I think that's good. Don't sit on the sidelines.
Yep.
Run to the fire.
Run to the fire, baby. That's right. Go get uncomfortable. It's the absolute best place you get to go grow. And it's the best place you get to find yourself and really decide who you are. Right.
Right.
Because everybody
do you really want to be what you are right now? Is that what you want to be?
Yeah. It's really easy to do it when it's easy. It's a whole lot harder to do it when that heat's on and it's getting hotter and hotter as you're getting closer to it. But I promise you, out of that comfort zone is how every great thing was ever created. I promise you, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, whoever, Elon Musk, I promise you never said, oh, that scares me. I think I'll just stay in my apartment. Right? No way. So go be great. Go run to the fire. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Be out.
Yep.
Tag out.